If you enjoy listening to inspirational stories from people just like us, facing the fear and doing it anyway, then you're in the right place. My name is Claire Hill, and this is the No Rest for the Vivid podcast. Hello, welcome. It's episode 32. I'm recording this intro in a little bit of a different way, so it's a little bit of an experiment to see if I can become even more productive and efficient and bring you these podcasts with as much value as possible. And this week I have Vanessa Buck on the podcast, and this woman is brilliant and wonderful, and I met her recently because we did some work together, and she runs a business called Vision Boards for All, and it's all about mapping out your vision of what you want to achieve. And she aims her work at people who may not have even allowed themselves to dream about what their life could be ever. Like, have you actually ever sat down and designed how your day could look like what would be in your most perfect day, and how could you even get there? So Vanessa is an absolute expert in all of this. I hope you find lots and lots of value in this episode, and it inspires you to think about your own vision. And if you like it, you know what I'm going to say: subscribe and share to your stories, click the little buttons on wherever you're listening to so you get them. And this is again the second episode of this week, because I am providing a little short one, little mini Monday on a Monday, and then a longer episode on Thursdays. So yeah, hope you enjoy. Hello, Vanessa.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm fine. It's a hot day again, isn't it?
It is a hot day again. I'm so happy to have you here. And I was just thinking, you're such a lush person, and I just want to share you with the world. So I'm very, very happy that you're here and on the podcast and in video form as well. If you're watching, if you're not, then so maybe you're listening. This is Vanessa. Vanessa, do you want to introduce yourself? What's your name and where do you come from?
Hello, I am Vanessa, and I live down in the West Coast. I'm a southern softie, as I call myself. 10 degrees warmer. I'm happy down here.
And what do you do?
I am a vision board expert, and I help people kind of shift their life from the shadows and ignite. Yes, that's it. I do. I shift them from the shadows and ignite their life. And we do that through vision, connection, and action.
Oh, that sounds good. That sounds very good. And so vision boards, before we get on to the work that you do, some people might be, I know what a vision board is, but do they know what a vision board is? If you were explaining to somebody that had no idea what a vision board is, how would you explain it?
I have a little bit of an analogy, actually, and I think I really want to bring a different dimension to vision boards. I really think that the traditional, where it's come from America, is, do a vision board and put it on your wall, and oh my gosh, everything magically will happen. And it's so not like that. And I kind of call it it's a visual representation. I can't even say that word now. A visualization. It's about the pictures. It's basically a daily visual reminder of how you want to feel and how you want to show up. It's about your dreams, aspirations, but it's about the journey towards that destination. And I call it, your roadmap. So if we were to get on the road, we need to know where we're going. We need to have that destination. If we are just getting on the road and just taking, we'll take this road. And now we're going to take this road. When we get clear of where we want and what we want, it can be our best life. It can be our dream life. It can just be a goal that we want to get on holiday in 2025. And when we've got that in visual, it reminds us to take that motivation. It reminds us to keep focused. It gives us that clarity, and it sets those intentions in place. And along the way, we have to enjoy our the the scenery. We're on that road. We have to, we'll go up and down. We can look out the side. We might have to get out, have a picnic, get back in. The picnic I call is the school holidays, because so many mums and people I've spoken to this time of year say, oh my gosh, I've got all this work to do.
Yeah.
The kids are breaking up. And I think it's being able to, remembering your why. And it's okay to get out, have that picnic, get back in. And then, you might hit a few roadblocks, and when you hit those roadblocks, sometimes you might have to back up and take a different route, but it's where you're going. And I think that's what I want people to see their vision board is. It's ever moving, it's ever changing, but you've got a clear kind of, you're in alignment with your goals and dreams. And as I've said to you before, what we want in our 20s are completely different to what we want in our 20s, 30s and 40s. And when we have experienced loss, grief of any kind, or had a transition in our life, it's a really time to really kind of reconnect and reignite what's inside us, because obviously we do, we might have feelings of loss, and we might, we need to let go of those shadows to kind of come out and ignite that new dream, or realign with new road, a new map.
Yeah. So how did you get into this work?
Well, through my own probably journey, like everyone, I'm a mum of two who are now grown up, but I loved being mum. That was my best job in the world. But like most people nowadays, we all have to work, and it's the juggle struggle. And I have another business. I'm in the beauty industry and do nails and feet and everything like that. And I thought, I always felt, because these ladies were coming to me, which are wonderful ladies, and they've been coming for 20 years, that, I had to make sure I was there for them all the time. If they wanted an appointment that day, I would, make room for it. And then I'd put my kids first, and then the house first, and the cat, the dog, everyone else first. And I was bottom of the pile. And many a times as a mum, I think you hear this, is, we wear all the hats. We're a sister, a wife, a mother, you're so-and-so's mum, you are a work colleague, a business person, and you are down at the bottom of the pile. And if you don't feed pour into your cup, you can't give out. And I think so many times we keep giving and giving. And I think I just was burnt out, overwhelmed, and everyone kept saying you could stop. And I kept thinking, no, can't stop, because you don't give yourself that space or time. So you just get on that treadmill and you keep going. And when people kept maybe having a massage here and trying to get those pockets of time, but what you actually need is true reflection, time to actually sit and breathe. And through the loss of losing my mum, that was a real turning point. She was, I'm very, very lucky. I had her till she was 62, but she was very young, vibrant. And I felt I had to protect my kids, because she was an amazing mum and nan, and really felt that I had to be strong for them, and trying to not grieve, but kind of grieve. And I know you've experienced loss yourself, and you never get over it. You learn to live with it, and it has many layers. And I think COVID, just before COVID happened, I just thought my kids were getting that little bit older. We were 17, 18, starting to go to, look at driving, and I suddenly thought, who am I? I think someone asked me, who am I? And I actually sat back and actually thought, I don't know. Well, I'm Harriet and Toby's mum. I'm Sunkist Tanning. I'm Chris's wife. I'm like thinking, but who are you?
Yeah.
And oh my God, I didn't know. And so I'd lost all my confidence, because from going back to school, I've always been slightly dyslexic, and school, unfortunately, can be a lovely place, but if you aren't particularly bright in that sense of exams, you always feel you're not enough. And I think so many people say, don't they, is, they used to get, because beauty therapy now is much more regarded, but 20 years ago when I was doing it, it was like, oh, you just paint people's nails, you just do that. And I always felt I wasn't good enough. And then I think I took a little part-time job on, and juggling the job and that, because I wanted that connection with other people. And then maybe not having the best boss in the world, I've just lost all my confidence. And I went on a vision board course, and I didn't really know anything about it. And we sat there, had a lovely afternoon, sticking pictures on. And I came away and I just thought, wow, that was so powerful. And then I think from that, I carried on, but started to kind of put the feelers out. It's sown a seed within me that there was other possibilities. I was at a chapter of my life that was starting to transition. And I think from that, I started to explore and started to look at other things. And then COVID happened. And that was like, just, obviously with beauty therapy, it shut right down. And it was my opportunity, one, not to feel guilty for saying, no, I can't do your nails, I'm ill or whatever. I mean, I had chicken pox when I was older, when my kids were little, and I still carried a work in and ended up getting a trapped nerve, because I used to think, well, I can do it. I've only got spots on my face. And I used to just constantly push. I'd had a cesarean with my second one, and I went back to work 2 weeks later. Who does that? I couldn't move. I literally couldn't move. But I just kept thinking, I've got to do it, because I've got to earn money. I was so kind of focused. And COVID gave me the opportunity to explore. I did some training. I did a bit of a life coach course and some other training bits. And I just kept coming back that vision board that I look at, and you might see me look over here. I always look over there because this is where my vision board is. It really connected with me. It reminded me how I wanted to feel, what I wanted to achieve, how I wanted to show up. And I wanted to spread that. I wanted to spread that love, that it can really make a difference. And it really has created that inner peace, because, at the grand scheme of things, we are the only people that get in our own way. We decide that, we have a choice to take that chance to make the change, but we sit in the stories we tell ourselves. We can't do that. We haven't got time. This. And I think, we can change. And I think as mums doing it all and doing all the jobs, always feeling that we're not good enough, that, we're not being a good enough mum because we're working, and then we're not being a good enough work colleague because we've got to go and pick up the kids, that we really got to be kinder to ourselves. And we've got, and love comes, we have to love ourselves, and we have to be put in the timetable and the picture of not necessarily going out with friends. It's the kind of inner soul piece, being able to sit there and not feel guilty to read a book for half an hour. We're not talking, reading War and Peace over the whole week and not do anything. We're talking pockets of time that we are worthy of showing up for ourselves, to feed our desires, our goals. Because when we were little, we might have wanted children, we might wanted to get married, but we didn't necessarily. We still had our own dreams, and a lot of our whys are for our kids and everything, but we still have dreams and desires, and we are individual, unique people, and we all are, worthy and good enough. And so many people think, I hear all the time, I don't have confidence, I need help, I'm overwhelmed mindset, and all these things. And that vision board kept me on track, and it still does to this day. And it changed my life. It did change my life.
So before you first did that vision board so what was your first introduction to vision boards? Do you remember? I know you said you went and did something, but was there, I've never heard, until I met you, I didn't know there were courses for vision boards to do them.
Yeah, so it was just basically, funny enough, it was one of my now ladies who, her husband is a meditation teacher and a counselor, and once every couple of years they throw a vision board course and they raise money for a charity. And she said, oh, she always worried that not many people were going to come. She said, oh, could you put a leaflet out for your ladies? I'm doing a vision board course. And I just said, oh, I'm really interested about this. And what a vision board basically is the premises of it is that lots of famous people have used vision boards, and it is that, and also athletes use a lot of visualization. They say, I think there's a statistic saying that it's 80% visualization and 20% actual physical action. It is,
isn't it?
It's huge. And if that is the statistic, and I'm sure it is, and we process visuals, and I think even more now, 60 times faster than text, which is huge. And 40% of us actually respond better to like kind of visuals and text, because we are all so different, we all learn different. And someone who's quite creative, like a dancer like yourself with a vivid wire, we see things and we feel things, and everything we do and everything we buy is brought with emotion. If you think after Christmas, all those holiday ads, I just love it. The marketing is so brilliant. They sell you the emotion. You'll have time with your family, you'll have space, you'll have freedom. We can have that now. We literally
you don't have to wait till Christmas.
We don't have to wait 2 weeks a year just to have space and time with our kids, or that, to connect. It's about finding that connection and that inner peace within us. To kind of, with what we want, because what everyone's success, even the richest people in the world, I've been approached by some various different people, HR business, who want me to do some training with them, and also someone who's very, very high up, who's a consultant. And he said so many people he deals with, jets and private jets and things like that, they're not happy because they're using stuff is a tick. Oh, when I get my Lamborghini, I'll be happy. When I get my penthouse flat, I'll be happy. When I go to Necker Island, I'll be happy.
Oh, who's going to Necker Island? Oh, I didn't know you could actually go there.
Well, I'm not sure you can, but it kind of comes from within. Happiness comes from within, and we can find the happy now. We concentrate so much on the lack, and life's been hard, with COVID and all that stuff, but we can turn and with the financial, everything getting a bit tighter, electric, it's finding abundance within us instead of coming from the lack. All the news is always lack.
I hate it.
I know. And my electric bill, I'm going to put it out there, I'm going to tell you all, it's in October it was £150, and they've put it up to £150, and now it's £650. I'm using less, it's not the summer, and they already told me it'll be 1,000. That would send a lot of people into depression. And when in the olden days, for many, many years, I wouldn't have been able to afford it. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to now, but I know it will be okay, because I can trust and believe, and we'll find a way, and all sorts of things. It's because I don't know, it's that inner peace. And I think, it is the journey of that vision board was that seed. It sowed that seed, and now being able to put it out to others, doing workshops, and maybe going a little bit deeper, because I think my vision board workshop I did, it was literally, she said, find pictures that you resonate and quotes that you are drawn to. You might not know the reason why, but it will be, just bring them and then decide what you want to put on your board. So it's very holistic. And I think vision boards can be done very goal specific, and they can be done holistically. And I think when you've been through trauma, I work with charities a lot, and a lot of the women can't see hope, can't see a future.
Yeah.
And I think with that, you do need to do very holistic. It's about what you're drawn to, and then the feeling behind what those pictures are drawn to, because they can't even think that they would be even able to maybe own a sofa or a house, or couldn't even think of going on holiday. But just seeing a picture of a sunny beach, what does that make them feel like? It can make them feel free. It can make them feel safe. All those things we can kind of start to work on in our life every day. And I think that is that's what I would like vision boards to be more about, is if we want more joy in our life, how we can create it, because we have to work at everything. If you want more joy, it's not going to just happen. You can't just, I'll put joy in and then not change anything. You have to go out and seek and set that intention to make that change. What do I need to do? How do I need to show up? Again, make that choice, to take that chance to make that change. And I definitely think I love this quote. Someone said to me once, miracles happen when you give your vision a path. And I think it's so true. It is such a beautiful quote.
And I love that, because you're saying about you got to change, and I believe that you just need to decide to choose to see things differently.
Yes.
You decide to choose, because there is, and I'm not taking away how awful things are around the world, but we still have to live in this world, and we are here we have the opportunity to see joy, and not, we definitely creating it, but just seeing a situation in a different way. Like, I think when, especially, and this goes back, and I know I've spoken to you before about, transforming from a worrier to a warrior, and that's all to do with the business club, not the business club, the Vivid Club, forgotten the name of my own business, and just having facts, if there is. So, for example, just go back to your bill. Are you with British Gas, by the way?
No, it was what it was. It was our company went bust, so it was one of those. You're on a tariff. We got put to EDF, and it's basically, in the olden days of mortgages where people would pay 18%, but you could fix it at 8%. We're on that over there somewhere.
Right. Okay. The only reason I'm saying is because I'm with Octopus, and they help you to reduce your energy, and I managed to cut my bill in half, and then it doubled. Really? So I've not gone up. But anyway, that's by the by. But the reason I say that is because, to flip that is a really worrying situation.
Yeah.
But you are going to be able to take opportunities, work more productively, more efficiently, grow the business. And that's a reason for you to do it, because you haven't got a choice. You've got to pay the bills. And so then once everything sorts itself out, which I do believe it will, there's no way you can sustain an economy on this kind of thing. You'll end up being like, I'm so happy that bill was £1,000 a month, because it made me grow Vision Boards for All and look at it now. And that's how I decide to choose. I choose to decide to do that, because there's always sometimes it takes a while, and there are certain things, and I'm talking from a place of loss, that I've lost stuff, but there are some that have lost a lot more than me. So I'm saying this in a very general way, not being specific. I know there is some things that people can experience that there isn't, but I believe that probably 95% of anything that happens in life, you can flip it. And I feel that, exactly like you're saying, those periods of darkness, just finding a tiny bit of hope. Because I used to feel like, have a hope, positive attitude. I used to have a lot of toxic positivity, I think. So I was like,
Yes.
oh, I was so positive it was toxic instead of going. And now I'm like, okay, I really appreciate that you feel terrible. I want to support you and help you with that. I'm also going to just shine a tiny little torch. I call it hope. Just going to shine in this
Yeah.
tiny little corner here, just to see if it grows a little bit. Because when things are really dark, you literally can just sometimes find like a one penny piece worth of hope on the
Yeah.
floor, and
Definitely.
it can grow from there. But it's difficult for it to grow from there if you haven't got a vision of what it could become,
Yeah.
and
And
that's why
also,
this works.
if you are set in that negative space, and I will personally put my hands up, I was always, and I think, when lots of like things kept going wrong when I was younger, and we did have lack of money. Very, we not, looked at the spreadsheet. We had more going out than more coming in, and you couldn't see the hope, you couldn't see the future, and it is, it is horrible. But at the same time, it's okay sometimes to have a bad day and go onto the sofa, because that's natural.
Yeah.
It is natural. And as we all know someone better off than us, and we all know people worse off than us. And it's being able to sit with it enough to actually think, yes, this is hard, but we've taken light bulbs out, things like that, and we know we've already started to get a plan that if the worst comes to worst, we will be able to shut the front room off, and we can move we've got a sofa in the kitchen, and we can sit in the kitchen. It's not the end of the world. I can watch TV maybe in bed. There are thousands of people that don't have half, in this, we're actually, our country, and even the people at their poorest, who are in maybe housing associations and housing association, we are still, this country in particular, 80% classed as 80% richer than some of the world. And if you think we have roofs over our heads, that most people have a car. I'm generalizing there, but even if they don't use it, whatever, we are still very, very lucky. And when adversity happens, it gives us opportunities. We can either see the negative in everything. Oh, why oh me? And it can sometimes feel like that when, layer after layer, it seems to go wrong. But I now look at it, this is happening for me, not to me. Even to the point of when you go on holiday, and say you go on holiday, it rains all the time, and then the week before was glorious sunshine, and the week after was glorious sunshine. You go, oh, it was just typical, that happened to me. And that's how I used to talk. Now I see it, well, that gave me opportunity to do some of my study, and I still was able to go out and do XYZ. And aren't I lucky I was able to go on holiday? And it's just turning your language around, it's flipping it around. And when you do that, you see more of that. And then we have to convince our subconsciousness, and that's where a vision board works. It's not just in the head, it's in the heart, and it's where our subconscious is. And as they always say, and I get this wrong a lot, where energy flows, attention goes. And if we are concentrating on all the things that are going wrong, that is all we're going to see.
And I think, and when we were just talking about the bills and stuff, it made me think of my mum, because I just think, like, when, what was it, like 30 years ago, she didn't have four of us at that point, but around 30 years ago, there was four of us. My dad had passed away. She's a single parent in a housing association flat. We didn't have a garden. I just think, like, what the hell would she have done in COVID? I just, didn't have a garden, didn't have a phone, all of these things. And because back then there was no opportunity for, and no one ever spoke about, okay, this is really shit for you, this is really awful, but let's find something. There must be something, apart from the fact she had four glorious kids, but there must be something you can focus on, can help. And I wish she had, because things would have been better after that, and I think there is this culture of, and also talking, like sometimes I'm really conscious of the language I use now because of my thoughts. I have to work really hard to keep my thoughts on track and not start beating myself up. And that's because of the trauma I experienced as a child, and my brain's wired differently, blah, blah, blah. But, and I say blah, 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 because I'm trying really hard not to talk too much about that in a way, because I feel like I'm living in the past a little bit, and it doesn't, do you know what I mean? Because you
Yeah,
feel the feelings again. Even
yeah,
just saying that to you, I'm like, oh God, it still hurts going
yeah,
through it. But I'm not that person anymore, because I've learned that actually it is a terrible thing that my dad passed away. It's terrible, like, you know, my mum and that. But I wouldn't be the woman I'm proud to be now if that hadn't have happened. I have to hold that in my head.
yeah,
But going back to the benefits and stuff, I feel like I'm not on the pulse of it anymore. Where I used to work in education, I would know, oh, actually, right now, the kind of poverty that's happening is, you know, really, really bad. My husband works with homeless people, but there is so many services that are doing such amazing work.
yeah.
Such amazing work. Like the work he does, he's got a big meeting today actually to make our local authority and make every adult matter authority. And that kind of
Wow.
thing didn't even speak. Like
Yeah,
every child matters wasn't around the last time we had this amount of poverty. So it's just, I mean, I know every child matter isn't really around anymore, but it's just looking at everybody counts and swinging it right
yes,
back round to the work you do. If everybody counts, if you're out there going, well, you can, and you don't give yourself the time to make
yes,
sure you count
yes,
yourself,
yeah,
then you are on the back foot. And it was something when we spoke last week, or somebody else I spoke to, and it was like, if I, talking about myself now, if I don't give myself enough, I
yeah,
won't give it out. So if I give myself more, I will be able to give more out, because I'm a good
yes,
person.
yeah,
I'm just giving
yeah,
out anyway. And that's why this works so good, because things change for me when I was like, what do I actually want? Who,
yes,
you know, what do I want from my business? And as you know, in the Vivid Club, we always talk about this, like, what do you actually want from the what do you actually want from your business? But then, like you said, holistically, what do you want from life?
yeah,
Like, and it's as
yeah,
simple, isn't it? It's like, what kind of dinners do you want to enjoy? Is there
yes, yeah.
recipes, you know, that you having the time to do stuff like that?
Yeah, most definitely. And I think that's it, isn't it? If we are feeding ourselves junk, and I like a chocolate bar as much as the next
Oh yeah, love a
person.
Mackie D's.
Um, but you know, if we are feeding ourselves, we know if high fat, we know sugar, we know what's bad for us, and everything in moderation is fine. But if we're constantly just putting that in a body, we're going to feel rubbish.
Yeah,
And if we feel rubbish, how can we show up for ourselves? So it's about trying to think, right, okay, I want to eat healthy. And most people, I will say, on your vision board, most people will normally have the 4 pillars, as I call them. They will have things that they want to discover, a destination, a holiday. But we can find discovery anywhere. We can take a different route on our way to work or the shops. We can choose to look up and acknowledge that all our surroundings, the weird windows in that house, the shape of a door. We've got that chance to explore. We can choose to make a dinner that we haven't made before.
mm,
We can choose, but we stick to this, this groundhog day that I get up, go to work, I go to this
because it's
destination.
safe.
It's safe. But then when we go on
It's not safe
holiday,
though.
we kind of explore. Another thing that's always on there is people want to be healthier and fitter, but you have to take the action, and it's small steps. So the first off is breaking it down. The first thing is buy the trainers, and motivation. Oh, I'll do it when. It's never going to happen. You have to put it in like you would a dentist appointment. You buy
Yes,
the
yeah.
shoes, you put the shoes on, even when you've got the biggest cold. Even if you think, right, okay, I'm not going to be able to run 5K today or whatever it is that you like, but I can walk around the block. And
Yes.
showing up for yourself, walking around the block, and then saying, you are well done, you showed up. And this is my fault, because I've had lots of various injuries of won't get into. I used to get on the treadmill and then walk 10 minutes and go, well, that wasn't a marathon, that was how useless am I? so I'm already thinking, well, what's the point? But there is a point, because every time they say, if you don't use it, you lose it. So show up. If you do 10 minutes, wow, amazing. You are fantastic. Tell yourself you're fantastic. You showed up for yourself. And if you only to put it in, the amount of times, January is the worst, isn't it? January is like, I'm going to diet and I'm going to do fitness, and it lasts about 3 weeks because there's a storm and snow and we want to bury a hatchet. We don't have to wait till January to start our healthy eating. You could start now, and it might be that at first, bite-sized pieces, cut out a chocolate bar, maybe just have one at weekend instead of and do it slowly. It doesn't have to be this great. We have this thing of, we have to suffer, we put out through suffering, and it doesn't have to be. And I think you may have spoken about it before, and I know I have in my group, is we underestimate what we can do in a year and overestimate what we can do in a day. We want instant results. We want to lose a stone at the end of the week. I'm the worst at that. If I want to go on a diet, I'm like, would starve myself, say, for 5 days and think, well, I'm not a stone lighter, I'm giving that up. So it's those kind of things. And I think, health, as I said, the 4 things on our board would be discovery, like adventure or destination, health and fitness, normally something to do with our house, and I'm trying to think of the 4th one, and maybe it's like fitness, maybe a dog or nature or sea, because we connect with nature and water. But we can make any area, as you say, with your family. It might be that you didn't have an outdoor space, but your mum could have brought indoor plants, and you could have had those. There's green spaces that we can all go to, and then we should all be thankful for them more, instead of taking them for granted.
And I think it's the feeling of having just seeing sky. I don't know whether maybe because I was indoors so much when I was younger, that it's I spoke to my husband about this the other day, about how I work a lot. I love my work, love it, absolutely love it. And I only work if Jackson is in childcare, my son, or if he's asleep. And then I spend time with my husband, and then I was like, I've forgotten to live for myself a bit. I'm probably speaking to you last week because this is the thing. I love my work so much, but it is work.
Yes.
It's not just, I'm just going to write for the sake of it. I love writing. I'm just going to write for the sake of it, apart from doing my daily writing, or I'm just going to read for the sake of it. I'm always reading a self-development book or a business book, just get back into, novels. And then I realised that when I was a child, and I want anyone to listen to this who had similar childhood, I didn't play. I was just, because I was a young carer, I was just looking after the children, like my sisters and my brother. I was looking after my mum, or I was doing schoolwork. I didn't just, and literally when my dad passed away, before that I was quite creative and I'd make things, and then it stopped. So I have to relearn at 37 how to, apart from, my friends who listen to this will be like, I do have a lot of fun when I see them. When I've got a reason to see them. When I go and get my love filled up from my friends. But what about actually just, because my husband, when he was growing up, did lots of drawings. He just drew all the time. He had a Nintendo. He played computer games. He had a bike. He did this. And I just said to him, I was like, I didn't do any of that. I didn't even have a garden to play in. So how I'm expecting myself to know
how to play.
I was like, oh God, right, actually, I'm just going to acknowledge that. And then the other day I just started weaving with wire. And I was like, oh, I'm playing. Oh my God. Yes. And then Jackson ran over and he was like, oh, what are you doing? Can I do it? I'm like, no, Mummy's playing her game. I don't know what the bloody hell I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm playing. So leave me alone. Let me, but it's really, the reason I'm saying this is because you sometimes work with people that have never even held an idea that they could even dream, that they didn't have to fit themselves into, go to school, go to college or university, maybe get themselves a job, maybe get married, have babies, and the babies go. They grow up and you're like, oh, there's that window, isn't it, between where you're still young, fit, healthy, got energy, and before, that point when you're like, oh, I can't move around now, I'm elderly. There's this, it's like 30 or 40 years. What do and you teach people how to go, oh, I can, have a life now. Like, what's my life? Oh, yeah.
And I think everyone need, even I think probably, in the future, what I would love to see and do is that I'd love to do vision boards for kids going back to school in September.
Such a good idea.
Just to have that they actually, how do they want to show up, and have 3 affirmations. And I think I've got one down here, a template, and it just sent tingles down me, and there was 3 affirmations I put on it. Is like, my mistakes help me learn and grow, my positive thoughts create positive feelings, and I can believe in myself. And they could read that every day and look at that picture, and it reminds them every September when they're stepping into that new classroom that how they want to show up, what they want to achieve, and no matter what their results are, if they're trying their hardest, they are enough. And I'd love to really get that movement of that happening. I think then if we got the next generation doing these vision boards, it would be a natural thing that people would do maybe once a year, twice a year. I mean, I think really you can do it every quarter with your goals, because it is a thing where you're what we want in our winter is completely different what we want in the summer. We do want to huggle down with stews and blankets and firelight, where in the summer we want to get out and explore, have cocktails and mojitos or whatever. But and then I think the other spectrum, when old people, in the sense, they sometimes, when they give up their work, they lose their purpose if they haven't got maybe grandchildren, or they don't live by them and they're not maybe as connected or don't want to be connected. They sometimes just start sitting. They are waiting to die. And actually, I work for a charity, and so many of the ladies are inspiring because they come and volunteer. But, I know other people on the other, they are just like existing, because on Tuesday I go and get my shopping, on Wednesday, God forbid if you dare change it. And I think there's something for everyone. Again, school happens, we go to school, we do this, we maybe go to university, we come out and they think, oh gosh, what next? Because you think, oh gosh, I've got to get married, I've got to have children, and sometimes you haven't met the right person. And it in life is, we then do that comparison thing, and I think people think, oh gosh, they've already bought a house. The comparison is the theft of joy, and we're all on our journey, and it will all various things will happen at different times, and to trust it, and to be open to it, and use your board to find the things what you want to attract. So if you do want love and you've had bad relationships, is start loving yourself first. Give yourself things by nourishing yourself with food, popping cream on your body, and giving love out. So many people get angry and cross and put this facade on, but deep down they're really hurting. Actually, if we give out more, we receive more. So if it's love you're looking for, give love out. If you're looking for kindness, give more kindness out, because it will radiate back. And I used to say to my kids, and if there was this fox, and wolf, and I don't know where I heard it from, but he was on the top of a mountain, and there was 100 mirrors, and he looked in those mirrors and he growled, and all he saw was 100 growly faces back. And there was another wolf that went up and smiled, and he had 100 smiling faces back at him. And those smiling faces literally kept smiling because it got more, and he smiled more, and it made him laugh. And then he had 100 people laughing with him. That's the difference of when we sit in that anger, lack of, bitter, twisted, or we can come, no matter where we are in life and no matter what life is throwing at us, we can change the way we think about it to not be so sad and bitter. It does take work. It's
It
not
does, yeah.
instant, and it is hard. And as you say, trauma really takes a little bit. Vision board isn't going to cure it on its own, but it's there to remind you, and then you can do the work with other people. But it's to remind you how you want to show up, who you want to be, and to give you that hope again. If you've lived with your partner 80 years, I don't know if that's possible, 80 years, but it's heartbreaking and devastating, and you don't want to necessarily carry on living. But what would they want you to do? You've got the opportunity to live your best life and still try to enjoy the little things, the sun, the coffee in the morning, the birds singing, whatever it is. It's you've had the choice where others it's been taken away from. So I think
that's so nice. Made me feel a little bit choked up. And also, it's the hardest thing, I think, is just deciding I don't want to show up like this anymore. And that's it. You can choose who you want to show up as.
Yes.
So, and
we are all versions of, we are on our own stage, and we are different versions and different characters of that. And sometimes, of course, we're a bit cross and bitter and angry and a bit, pooey in a sense. And then, and gosh, I'm no different to anyone else. And, some days I will feel depressed, and I know hormones play a part, and I'm a lady of a certain age, and I could easily put my head under a pillow and I don't want to come out again. But it then makes you think, right, no, enough, because someone hasn't been given this opportunity where I have. And you've got to be the one that takes the action, and you've got to be the one that shows up. And if you want to level up, everyone is on a mountain, and some people above you may want to get to that and inspire to, and there'll be other people looking up at you, but we are all unique, we are all different. It's finding what fits for you, finding your vibe, and hanging around with those people, because people drag you down. And they even say, I think Vex King in his book, he had a sad childhood, and his book is brilliant. I just love his book. It's really easy to read, and that was one of my things on my journey that started to sow that seed. But people around you, bad energy really can bring you down, and it could be 5 doors down the road and your bad neighbor. So you've got to work even harder to reframe and not let those things get you. The stories you hear of, I've got a now lady, as she moves her car and someone's looking out the window next door to park her car, move it up a little bit so she can't park in it. I mean, why would you want to do that?
Oh my God, that is so
why? What a life to lead, and so I don't feel that lady is very connected.
No,
with
herself. Doesn't sound like it. So I ask everybody this question at the end of the episodes, because I just love it. I love hearing about it. What advice or tip would you give yourself 10 years ago that you know now but you didn't know back then?
I would say, and it's taken me 49 years.
You're not 49.
No,
Shut
I'm 50. I'm 50. I'm 50. I'm
You're 50?
Yes, I was 50 this year. So it's taken me 49 years. So I've only been doing it for 1 year.
Oh.
But I actually know that I am good enough. I'm good enough. My flaws, it's my imperfect self. If you don't like me, tough. And I get to choose my thoughts, and I get to change them. And that is what you are enough is always my now. And that visualization of like, I can do anything. If I put my mind to it, I can do it. If I really want to. Sometimes we want to do something, might want to lose weight, but if I'm still eating chocolate bars, it's not going to happen. So when you really, really want it, you'll get it.
Yeah, because if you are, you don't want it. If it's not happening, you don't want it enough.
No. Yeah. You've got to change the why of it. You've got to change why you want it. It's got to have some tangible things towards it. But I am good enough.
Amazing. Vanessa, this has been wonderful. Thank you so much. Where can people find you?
They can find me on Instagram and Facebook under Vision Boards for All, or you can find me on my little group over on Facebook called Make It Happen, Let's Dream Big Community. I am on TikTok, but I don't know the name.
And I think you're Vanessa Buck on, is it Buck, your last name?
Yeah,
I think Buck. It is, because you followed me, I think.
Yes, I think I'm something like that with some numbers underneath it. You'll see my face if you're looking on YouTube.
Yes.
And then I've got my website. So that's www.visionboardsforall.co.uk. Come and say hi.
Yeah, please do. This lady is beautiful. Love it. You're wonderful. Thank you
for having me, Claire.
Yeah, you're so welcome. Thank you very much. See you later.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to the No Rest for the Vivid podcast. Written, produced and hosted by Claire Hill, and music has been composed by my brother, Phil Vick.